Hello everyone, welcome to Commerce Piece. In today's video, let's discuss the second chapter of the business studies subject, that is the forms of business organization. But before discussing the different forms of business organization, let's first understand the meaning of business organization. So the meaning of business organization is, in order to carry out any business and to achieve its objective of earning profit, it is required to bring together all the resources and put them into action in a systematic way, and to coordinate and control all these activities properly. So the main objective of any business is to earn the profit. For earning the profit, the business has to bring together all the resources. So the resources of the business are the 4 M's of the business, that is money, material, machine and manpower. So the business has to bring together all these resources and they have to put these resources into action, and they have to coordinate and control the business activities so that they can earn the profit. So this arrangement is known as business organization. Let's understand the different forms of business organization with the help of a diagram. So in the diagram you can see there are 5 types of business organization. The first is the sole proprietorship, the second is the joint into family business, the third is the partnership, the fourth is the cooperative society, and the fifth is the joint stock company. In today's video, we will discuss in detail about the sole proprietorship. The first and the oldest form of business organization is the sole proprietorship. It refers to the form of business organization which is owned, managed and controlled by an individual who is recipient of all profit and bearer of all risk. So if a single person is the owner, manager and controller of the business, then that type of business is called as the sole proprietorship business. He is the person who will receive all the profit of the business and he will bear all the risk of the business. The word sole implies only and proprietor refers to owner. Hence, a sole proprietor is the one who is the only owner of a business. So, sole proprietor means the only owner of a business. Some of the examples of the sole proprietorship business are barber shops, beauty parlors and retail shops. So, these type of shops you can find around your houses. So, all these kind of shops are the examples of the sole proprietorship businesses. Let's now see the features of the sole proprietorship business. The first feature is the formation and closure. So, it is easy to start. So this type of business is very easy to start because it involves only a single person. If a person wants to start a business and if he has the capital, then he can easily start this type of business. The next is no legal formalities are required except in some cases. So in this type of business there are no legal formalities involved. The next is no separate law. So there is no separate law that will deal with the sole proprietorship business. The last point is ease in formation as well as closure of the business. So not only the starting of or the formation of the business is easy, but also the closure of the business is very easy in case of the sole proprietorship business. The second and the most important feature of the sole proprietorship business is unlimited liability. Sole proprietors have unlimited liability. So the liability of the sole proprietor is unlimited. In case of loss, if business assets are not enough to pay the business liabilities, the personal assets of the owner can also be utilized to pay off the liabilities of the business. So in case the sole proprietor face any kind of loss, then not only the assets of the business will be utilized to clear the business liability, but also the personal assets of the owner will also be utilized for clearing the liabilities of the business. So that is called as the unlimited liability. Here the liability of the sole proprietor is not only restricted to the business, but it is extended to the personal property of the owner. So that is called as the unlimited liability. The next feature is sole risk bearer and profit recipient. The risk of failure of business is borne all alone by the sole proprietor. So here the sole proprietor will bear all the risk related to the business, and if business is successful, the owner enjoys all the profits. So in case of failure, or he will bear the risk. In case of the success of the business, he will enjoy all the profits of the business. So profit is the reward for bearing the risk. So profit is like a reward for the sole proprietor for carrying on the risky business activities. So this is related to the sole risk bearer and profit recipient. The next feature is one man control. The management and control of the business always remains with the owner. So the owner is the single manager and the controller of the business. So that is one man control. He can prepare various plans and execute them without any interference. So he is the person who will plan all the activities related to the business, and he is the person who will execute. He don't have to take the permission, or he don't have to discuss with anyone. So there will be no interference for the execution of his. The next feature is no separate entity. The sole proprietorship business does not have an entity separate from the owner. The owner and the business are one and the same. So in case of the sole proprietorship business, the business and the owner, they both are one and the same. They are not considered as the two separate entity, but they are considered as one and the same. So that is an important feature of the sole proprietorship business. The next feature is lack of business continuity. The owner and the business are one and the same entity. As we have already discussed in the feature of no separate entity, that the owner and the business are one and the same, death, insanity, imprisonment, physical ailment or bankruptcy of the sole proprietor will have a direct effect on the business. So if anything happens to the owner of the business, that will have an effect on the business. It may lead to the close down of the business also. So this is a last feature of the sole proprietorship business, lack of business continuity. Let's now discuss the merits and limitations of the sole proprietorship business. The first merit is quick decision making. As the sole proprietor is the whole and soul of the business, he can make the decisions quickly without the interference of anyone. So that is the reason in case of the sole proprietorship business, the decision making is quick. The next is confidentiality of information. As the sole proprietor is the only person who is working for the business, so he can keep the information of the business to himself. So that will lead to the confidentiality of information in case of sole proprietorship business. The next is direct incentive. So if the sole proprietor is working very hard, he will get the reward in terms of profit. So that will become a direct incentive for the sole proprietor. The next is sense of accomplishment. If the sole proprietor work hard and if the business of the sole proprietor is successful, then he will get a sense of accomplishment with the success of the business. The next is ease of formation and closure. So the formation of the sole proprietorship business is very easy when compared to other types of business, and also the closure of this type of business is very easy because there are no legal formalities involved in this type of business. Let's now discuss the limitations of the sole proprietorship business. In that, the first is the limited resources. As the sole proprietor is the only person who is the investor into the business, that is the reason the resources are limited in case of sole proprietorship business. The next is limited life of a business concern. As the sole proprietor is the whole and soul of the business, if anything happens to the owner of the business, then the life of the business will be limited. The next is unlimited liability. If the assets of the business are not enough to pay off the liabilities of the business, then the personal assets of the owner will be used for paying off the liabilities of the business. So that is called as the unlimited liability. So here the liability of the owner is not restricted to the capital he is investing into the business. It is extending to his personal property also. So that is a major disadvantage or the limitation of the sole proprietorship business. The last is the limited managerial ability. As a sole proprietor is the only person who is the manager of the business, there the limited managerial ability is a limitation. I hope you are clear with the concept of the sole proprietorship business. If you like the topic, please don't forget to subscribe to Commerce Space.